Welcome back, YouTubers, to another TNA Impact Wrestling review with us, the British Fist.
Gotcha.
I am Mr. Parkin, and this guy's staring gazingly into my ear. Oh, I've got earwax in there or something, NJ.
What's up?
That's a good answer to that question because I didn't really want a yes or no answer. Subscribe or above, like this video, and comment your thoughts on this TNA Impact Wrestling show down in the comment section below.
Right, if you contact us, and the link in the Gooch box below.
Hello, viewers. Oh, sorry. Oh, no, we have more viewers over there. We have an audience now. It's called The Window. But anyway, so lockdown, go home show. I must admit, NJ, the last week's show was good. We expected this week's show to be not as good, but I'm still pretty pumped for lockdown right now. And I think the first thing I want to say before we get into this review is the crowd were pretty hot tonight, weren't they? That crowd didn't really need too much canned heat tonight because that crowd was good. I hope lockdown is like that.
The thing with the crowd, they were really clear what they were chanting in a lot of the show. They were with it in some areas. They were chanting over certain stuff people were saying in certain segments, but they were alive. And this actually, yes, they might not be chanting the right thing for the segment, but it made TNA feel more alive.
Exactly, just like I did with the UK shows. A better crowd makes the show feel a lot better. And don't forget to watch our lockdown preview, which is going to be uploaded on Saturday. It'll also be on TNA Swerve as well. Make sure you go check out that website. So let's just go into the show. I'm pretty pumped for lockdowns. I'm pretty much looking forward to reviewing the show, NJ. We open up the show with Eric Bischoff to a chorus of boos. The fans legitimately hated that fucker, didn't they, when he came out? It was so good. And basically, he talks about the Eric Bischoff's name living on, and I felt this was an effective opener. You managed to get a lot done in there. You got him introducing his team of Gunner, Bully Ray, Kaz, and Daniels. You get Bully Ray talking him up as like he's gonna be the king of the Bischoffs, I guess. And they announce a best-of-3 series match for the night for the one-man advantage.
But you did one thing wrong, Dan. One thing wrong.
What, did I botch again?
No, your bastard son.
I don't have a son.
I swore, but there you go, people. Yeah.
It's very rare NJ swears, so when he does swear, you guys need to appreciate it.
Yeah.
One thing I did wrong there was I've been botching way too much lately, so thank you for calling me out on that. You're like me calling ROH out on their bullshit, but there we go. So then out comes Garrett, basically saying that his team is chomping on the bit to get to the action. And like I said, I thought this was a good opener because you announced the teams, you announced the Lethal Lockdown. The Lethal Lockdown match needed a lot of hype considering it was only really announced last week. And you've got the announcement of the heel team, and throughout the night we were going to get the announcement of the face team. So we had something to look forward to throughout the night, and it was a good segment, I thought.
That's what I thought too. You got the heel team coming out looking good, nicely built, the right wrestlers I'm thinking compared to what we could have got in some aspect. And then it led to the first match, which I thought was good for the opener, bringing out ready for the first face person to come out to face the heel side.
Yeah, we had Mr. Anderson coming out, and I must admit, the fans really enjoyed this opener, didn't they? And then we had Anderson versus Gunner, match 1 for the first man advantage of Lethal Lockdown. And, this is a decent match. You got about 5 minutes, and Anderson gets DQ'd after taking his frustration out on Gunner. Not really too high on that finish, but I guess it was a way of making Gunner not look too weak.
No, and I'm going to keep this to TNA, but this is a bit like the Shameless thing when he kept on going crazy, and I was just not really for it. I'm just thinking, Anderson, you should be the clever one that wants to look strong, open match. You should have either got the win here, or Gunner should have got the win, just had a clean finish.
Yeah.
This thing you take frustration out, I was a bit, not a good way to open a match. But the match itself before that, I was no problem with it.
I guess they were trying to get a sort of cheaty heel. I guess they were trying to get some heel heat on Gunner. I don't know what they were trying to do, but anyway, we'll move on. This is a good, nice flow from opener to match, I thought, So, we were going to get plenty of this throughout the night. Motor City Machine Guns next have a segment. They didn't have any entrances. Way to make the return of Motor City Machine Guns look like a big deal, TNA, not giving them an entrant. You get Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley on the mic talking about that it's the heart that matters, that injuries have plagued their tag team. And then they address Samoa Joe and Magnus saying that, going through their accolades and everything, and they're the best wrestling tag team ever. Until the tag team champs come out, and they have something to say then, don't they?
And this is the thing, this is exactly what we need. Yes, in my say from last week, this may have been just quickly rushed to get them into this match, get a big match at Lockdown, but the way they did it, had these two in the ring together, very nicely done, face to face, really bring out the words to each other, really going on it. That is what we need, and I'm really glad they did this in the Garden show, because obviously there weren't much build to this particular match. And
that is something I was going to bring up. The build really hasn't... It's been very rushed, but this is a big match for a big pay-per-view, so I'm glad that TNA have done this. As this is a match I'm very much looking forward to at Lockdown, despite what many people could see as lack of build. You get Magnus putting over the Motor City Machine Guns as a great tag team, but they are the best right now. And then out come Mexican America, and I was thinking, oh god, this better not be a triple threat match. But they're basically just cannon fodder for the two face tag teams to kick their ass, and that was kind of entertaining seeing Mexican America get kicked ass again.
Well, their purpose of coming back in the first place was anyway to get them, not towards the title, but actually get them as a tag team in to build up the future opponents going for the championships at the pay-per-view. So I think having them come out for the last time, so they didn't have to actually touch each other, the champs and the opponents, bring out some tag team that have been used these last week, so to be there to make the rest look ready, I really like that.
Oh, I imagine if it was Robbie E and Rob Terry, how much more entertaining it would have been. But anyway, we won't even mention that name. It's on lockdown, it's just that the Robbie E and Devon didn't get a segment, but there we go. So I thought this was a good segment. It was needed. I felt they did need a segment, as it was only really done last week, and they really needed a segment to sort of cement that feud. And I'm looking forward to the match. It should be a very good match at Lockdown.
Well, having Alex Shelley and Motor Machine back in a tag team, back in a pay-per-view, it's something that the fans look forward to. And who knows what's going to happen, but we'll make our predictions in the video.
Exactly. After that, we got Christopher Daniels versus Austin Aries. It's funny. I've got an ROH DVD there where they're talking about where they have an Austin Aries versus Daniels match. And it's kind of like the best versus the best. So now we got it on free TV. I just find that kind of funny. This was the match 2 for the man advantage at Lethal Lockdown. One thing that struck out for me in this segment is Aries is over as hell, and TNA. They have gold of Austin Aries right now, don't they? They really need to do something more with him other than X Division champion, and that's what they're doing now. And I'm glad that he's in like a bigger picture rather than X Division, because I think he's way above the X Division right now. Austin Aries.
Because the thing with Austin Aries is that he's had this hint of a feud or something going on with Buddy Ray. He's going against Christopher Daniels, who's a guy who's built up to be this really good guy against AJ. So he's gone against some of the best already. So he's getting the big hint of going somewhere. And I really think the way he performed in this match, very nicely done, gave us a good feeling of him for Lockdown and even the future afterwards.
They're really doing a good job getting him over, aren't they? Especially the crowd who are mental for the guy. And it's no surprise, really. I love the little spot in the match where Daniels pulls the tights, the ref sees it. Then Austin Aries pulls the tights and the ref sees it again. I think that's the only time in reffing history anyone has seen the tights being pulled. But Austin Aries wins what was a very good match, makes it 1-1. I enjoyed this segment a lot.
So far, so good.
Austin Aries is pure gold right now. And I do wonder if TNA, speaking about X Division champion, I do wonder if they're going to do an escape match, maybe to showcase the X Division talent to get a number one contendership done. They've generally been done at Lockdown, but the final card has now been announced and it's not on there. And I thought that might be a match they'd have put in there, but they might not doing it. I'd like to see it though. After watching some of the classic ones on the TNA website.
They could have a throw-in match, but with this being as big as it is, an escape match, that is a kind of a big match for TNA, so maybe it shouldn't just thrown in there, because this should have had hype, but if it was thrown in there, we will get the faces of Ions, we'll get
the Anthony Nieces and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so we will get names. It would be an interesting match, but I just don't really agree with it just being a thrown-on match. So we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be on there, but it's just a thought I thought I'd bring up. As they were preparing the cage for the steel cage wedding, out comes Jeff Hardy, and again the crowd were pretty pumped for this segment, and he basically talks about his match at Lockdown, and I really have a complaint here. I would have thought the segment didn't really get that much time. And I would have thought with TNA having Kurt Angle and Jeff Hardy, 2 ex-WWE stars, that feud could really generate a lot of interest for the company. And I'm really surprised how little emphasis they've really put on this feud. And this segment kind of really showed how little they were putting on it. It was like, what, a minute, 2 minutes of just Jeff Hardy? I really thought they'd put a lot more emphasis on this feud. And there wasn't enough, in my opinion, in this segment.
Well, with Hardy getting put back into TNA and going straight to the top, yes, we may not agree with that, but the fact they've done it, they do need to emphasise on him more, give him longer mic time, give him more hype, especially for Lockdown. And this quick in the ring, in and out, just don't feel important. And this is a match I'm looking forward to, even with Angle not 100%. But it's just that this didn't really hype me up for it. I'm just like, hi Jeff, bye Jeff, that's it.
Exactly, and I am really looking forward to this match, as I know Angle and Hardy can provide a very good cage match, a very good compelling cage match. I just don't think this has been built as well as it should have, and this segment really showed it, in my opinion. But there we go. We'll now move on to what was the hour main event. I don't know why TNA, with Lockdown coming up on the Go Home Show, put this as the hour main event. Never mind, put it on TV. They put it as the fucking hour main event. The Eric Young and ODB wedding. We were really not looking forward to this. It had nothing to do with the pay-per-view. It got a lot of TV time on the Go Home Show, and the only real positive I can think coming out of this is they're at least doing some hype for a Knockouts tag title match, I guess, even though Eric Young is male. But I really couldn't. I didn't mind how the segment was done. I just couldn't care less about it. And I bet the casual fans are eating it up, but I really couldn't care for this segment one bit. You're right.
Feel sick.
I don't blame you.
Last week, I did have the hope that this was going to be a chance to turn ODB heel, as she sets Eric Young's hopes up for something big here.
Much better as a face.
And ODB to go heel. So just something different than it to all plan out. Because now the fact they've married, we know that in the weeks to come, there's something between these two is going to continue.
Oh.
And I just think that's why I wanted something to happen to ruin this. Yes, there's those two.
Rosita and Serena
they came out, and maybe he could have been tempted to get pulled away. Just something, just so we don't have to see this continuing. But now people.
Anyway, I can't hold your hair, NJ, because you don't really have enough hair to move on to. But anyway, just like I said, I didn't have a problem with the way they did it. I bet the casual fans ate it up. I mean, Rosita and Sarita trying to get Eric Young out of the wedding, and then you had the whole, please don't do that, NJ, on camera. I'm just saying, I might end up puking soon because of the segment and that. But, I mean, having Young and ODB stripped down to their underwear, getting married that way, again, NJ's sick again, but there we go. You know, I'm just going to not talk about this anymore because it really didn't warrant any. Let's just move on. Unless it's set up some match between these two at Lockdown on the Go Home show, it really didn't have any purpose. But there we go. After that, it's going to be better now because I'm going to mention Bully Ray next. Exactly, that's your cure for RVD and Eric Young shit. Bully Ray versus AJ Styles was the final match and the deciding match for the man advantage at Lethal Lockdown. And I think this was a good match. Basically, it was a tiebreaker. They came out with their teams. You had both teams brawling on the outside. The match went about nearly 7 minutes. It was a pretty good match between the two, as we pretty much expected. And Bully Ray gets the win with the chain. That sequence of events was pretty nice and really hyped up the Lethal Lockdown match, and now actually, with the way they built it in the show, I'm actually quite looking forward to seeing the Lethal Lockdown match.
The thing I got this match, yes, it was Bully Ray in the match, yes, he got the win, but it did not make AJ look weak, because obviously Bully Ray had to turn to a weapon to beat AJ, but at the same time, Bully Ray got the win over AJ, so that's a big thing for him, gave the Heels a win going to the pay-per-view, and the match was pure, so thank you, Bully Ray, for getting your match, and I love you, mate. Yeah,
he's a top heel in the business. There is news that TNA do want to give him the belt, because he is the best heel in the business right now, isn't he, Bully Ray? It's just a shame that, you know, I say not a shame because I like to see Rude and Storm, but it's a shame Bully Ray maybe won't get a title run. But there we go, that's just the way things work in the business. Oh, then we get Hogan coming out. This is Hogan's only appearance on the show, which obviously I could tolerate him only being on the show once. He announces that Lethal Lockdown is now 5-on-5, that Bischoff had 3 minutes to announce his member, and then after the break, 3 minutes later, Bischoff puts himself in there so he can stand over Hogan's body. But no, with Hogan, he knows that Eric Bischoff is all about ego. And who is returning to the Impact Zone this week, NJ?
Rob Van Dam!
Exactly, so we get RVD returning, which is a nice little moment, and, you know, it's funny now, you see this Lethal Lockdown match, and it kind of reminds me of Survivor Series, because you have all the guys in Lockdown, they have feuds with each other. Gunner has had a feud with RVD, Kaz and AJ, Daniels and Anderson, Bully Ray and Aries, Bischoff and Eric, you know, the Bischoffs. These little single feuds link in, don't they? Which is why this Lethal Lockdown match should be good, not just for the match, but for continuing feuds on as well.
It's a pretty strong match. I'm going to give it that. It's built up, kind of rushing this last show, true. But give it that. It's made, now we've got it. Rob Van Dam's getting directional because he's been part of a big match, but I don't think it's going to last after this pay-per-view. We'll probably go back to just hovering about.
No job, Rob.
That's pretty much it. But all I would say is that they've got the match now, it's done, and we get the continuation of Hogan trying to get over on Bischoff, and I think we've wrapped this up nicely now. Yeah,
the Lethal Lockdown match did get very good hype tonight, in my opinion. After that, we had a video package for the Rude and Storm feud. Again, I really do enjoy these video packages, as it did touch on the history. Rude talking about how he knew he was always the better man in beer money and how he carried Storm to tag team gold. We have Storm talking about how he was friends with Robert Roode, now he's like mortal enemies of him. And that helps the match. I mean, I'm really looking forward to this match as it is, but these video packages are really doing a good job to kind of make this match feel like a bigger deal.
Well, with Lockdown coming up being one of the big pay-per-views, the history of the two big wrestlers should be needed, should be summed up, just so this match feels really important and so it can have a big meaning behind it, which is the build of two friends, two tag team partners going up against each other for the biggest thing in TNA, which is the gold.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I'm looking forward to this match so much, NJ. We had Mike Tenay and Taz running down the pay-per-view card, and I will say, while we're here, there was no Crimson and Morgan segment, which kind of disappointed me because this is one match I feel that has had very good build. And as much as it's had very good build, I really did feel it needed that final sort of oomph on the go-home show, in my opinion. But they didn't have a segment which let the show down a little bit for me.
Well, we could blame the wedding for that. Because that was half that length, and we could have fit one more segment in, which would be the important thing, which is Morgan and Crimson, who are two guys who really need this big lockdown match, because with them two probably going up to the main event or something afterwards or after their feud, they need to be showcased building up to one of the big pay-per-views.
Especially when the wedding really had nothing to do with the pay-per-view, and this did. So, I mean, we'll go on to more of that into our overall thoughts, but after that we had a knockouts tag match, Velvet and Mickie James versus Gail Kim and Madison Rayne. Went about 4 minutes, it was decent knockouts action. Velvet gets the win on Gail to make her look strong going into the pay-per-view. Booking 101 tells me that Velvet has won on the go-home show. Gail Kim will win at Lockdown, and I hope she does.
Well, look at this, and the first thing I think is you pinned the champion, which is making you look strong going in, but maybe, I agree with it also, it could have gone another way when Velvet's gone middle range. Either way, it would have looked good, maybe more Madison Rayne, but the match was okay. I enjoyed it. Mickie James being in there, hopefully will hint something for the future, even if it'll be Gail Kim and Mickie James again. It's still a match that draws and people want to see, so maybe it's hinting something. Yeah,
and even though I'm still not happy that Velvet is kind of playing first fiddle to Mickie James now, it's still... I'm not really looking forward to this match too much, but it was a decent segment, I guess. We get to our main event, which was announced last week by James Storm. We had the Rude and Storm Showdown, and to be honest with you, I was glad this was in the main event position, because I was really scared for a minute that they were going to make the Lethal Lockdown the main event. And the fact that this was in the main event slot means that it is going to be the main event, and I thank fucking God for that, because this definitely needs to be the main event at Lockdown, in my opinion.
But with these two having the importance, like we said earlier in this review, they really deserve their last shot of being the main event going towards Lockdown.
Yeah, we have, a pretty much a massive history lesson, don't we, between Rude and Storm. They talk about beer money, and you get the crowd chanting, "You sold out! You sold out! You sold out!" That was funny. And we have Rude talking about how he won the Bound for Glory series, and the sequence of events which happened between them two, is Storm winning the title, Rude losing at Bound for Glory, and everything. I felt this was quite a strong segment, in my opinion.
Well, the things I want to say about this is, when they mention about beer money, we had Rude mentioning that. Yes, we mentioned all the good times we had, but the main thing that drew us together was our ambition to be the best that goes on, which made me think, yes, beer money was a big thing, but there was more to it than what the eye saw. And then they want to talk about the history and that. And they brought the whole family thing in, really stabbing each other, so adding more emotion to it, which maybe not been needed, but again, it does add something to the final, not touching each other, but nose to nose, so I thought it was pretty strongly done.
And in the last 5 minutes, it was very intense, wasn't it, as well, which is really what needed to happen in this segment. Like you said, talking about how they actually hated each other and they won based on their individual passions, and I'm really looking forward to seeing this match now. I mean, this didn't need a great segment for me to really look forward to it, but I thought this was a good way to end the show. A very strong, in my opinion, segment between two guys that obviously have great chemistry in the ring, and also on the mic as well. So, and the little mentions of Storm's dead father and brothers, that was like a sort of like little cherry on top of this, in my opinion, in terms of like how it made the promo a bit more intense.
Yeah, but I did a lot of things, because obviously Rude knows a lot about Storm, Storm knows a lot about Rude, so they could really bring out the best of each other in mic work. So it's added a lot more in the main event of this show, as well as going to the pay-per-view.
Indeed. Now for your overall thoughts, NJ. Give me and the YouTubers out there your overall thoughts on this TNA Impact Wrestling show.
It's majority of the show, it had a lot to do with Lockdown, which was good. They tried to fit as much as they can. Yes, there was one part that build up too much time and minus other segments that could have fitted in, but overall I was entertained with what we got. It flowed quite nicely, but grade wise, I'm sorry people, it's going to get a B minus. It would have maybe got a C plus, just because that our main event.
Yeah, I know what you mean, NJ. I'll say this first. I'll do mine in two parts. Firstly, the show I thought was very entertaining. We did get some good matches. They really did build up the Lethal Lockdown match, which was needed. They built up most of the match. But my main issue, the show was very good. I'll give the show like a B in terms of entertainment, B plus in terms of like entertainment and stuff. But my main issue was the fact that this is a go-home show. You had that wedding on there, which took up a large chunk of time in the our main event. Hardy and Angle should really have got more build, in my opinion. Devon and Robbie E got nothing. Crimson and Morgan got nothing. And that's 3 out of your 7 matches on the lockdown card. So really, in terms of a go-home show, it was like a C, really, because you did some good hype for the Lethal Lockdown match and some other matches, but a lot of the matches didn't really get as much hype as they really warranted, in my opinion. And even though I'm looking forward to 5 or 6 of the matches on this 7-match card, I really didn't think TNA did a great job in hyping up some of the matches which they needed to, in my opinion. So I want to judge this in 2 forms. The show itself was a BB+ in terms of entertainment and stuff, but in terms of a go-home show aspect, it was more like a C. Really, so it really depends how you look at it, really. Just 3 of the 7 matches not getting hyped really that greatly, and that kind of affects this show a little bit, even though I was entertained by it.
That's a good way of looking at it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's just how I thought of it anyway. So anyway, give us your thoughts on this TNA Impact show down in that comment section below. Make sure you check out our lockdown preview, which will be up this Saturday, and we do have a lot to say about this, especially me, as I'm pumped for this show, NJ, I really am.
Well, with it being one of the big pay-per-views, obviously we're really going to big it up, give it the compliments it needs, and hopefully it can deliver when it comes.
Indeed, and we don't really need to show intensity, do we? We're not in a feud. We're like best friends. So really, all I can really do is hand you the baton. You can take it and do the outro as you usually do.
Okay,
not that you need me to pass the torch to you, NJ.
Okay, before we sick again. Now, people, thank you very much for tuning to this review from Mr. Parkin and me, NJ. Tune in for our next video on Saturday. And till next time, people, goodbye.